The Oshi No Ko ending was certainly very controversial, with one of the major disappointments being with the way Aqua died. He had bled out painfully underwater after killing his father. In the end, Aqua truly believed that was the only way to stop Hikaru and protect Ruby. However, his death ended up hurting the very people he cared about. Like every day, Ruby has to lie to herself to be happy. Even though she's living her dream as an idol, that scar will remain with her for the rest of her life. For someone like Kana, Aqua went out of his way to dodge her one request, which was to watch her final Bikomachi performance on Christmas. He instead chose that specific date to enact his plan. After nearly being able to be willing to move on from the past and live his current life as Aqua happily with those he loved, he threw all that development away. However, I do think there are some ways Aqua could have achieved his goal without dying. For starters, Aqua killed Hikaru in the original story, so we know he's willing to kill. We also know that Hikaru probably wouldn't have been immediately arrested if he was reported to the police, as they lacked sufficient evidence to actually expose Hikaru as a mastermind until Nino confessed. Even then, the most the police could get was that Hikaru was just the one who instigated all the murder suspects, and didn't actually kill someone with his bare hands. On the off chance that they were even able to get Hikaru thrown into jail, then there is still the possibility that he could have some minions on the outside to do his bidding and kill Ruby. Aqua obviously would not want to take that chance either. Unlike Hikaru, who he has knowledge of, unknown threats make protecting Ruby more difficult. That's why killing Hikaru is still Aqua's best option, to ensure Ruby's safety. There are still conditions Aqua must watch out for though. The big one is that he can't be the one accused of murder, because that could harm Ruby's reputation. Secondly, Aqua does not want Akane to assist him with the actual murder itself. I do think if Aqua was more lenient with Akane, them working together to create the perfect crime would make things much easier, especially if they decide to hide the body instead of just dumping Hikaru into the ocean. Aqua originally wanted to make it seem like he got stabbed when he confronted his father, which would link Hikaru directly to a crime. That would absolve Aqua of any suspicion once their bodies were found. Like if the police found Hikaru's body, Aqua really looks like the main suspect due to having a possible motive, which is why he felt like he had no choice but to make sure to control the narrative by stabbing himself. By hiding the body, Aqua doesn't have to go as far as he did just to avoid suspicion. Hikaru would have disappeared, but there wouldn't be any solid evidence that links back to Aqua, besides a possible motive for wanting to kill Hikaru. Hiding the body is another story, but Aqua just needs to put it somewhere he is certain no one can find it. That or destroy the corpse if Aqua wanted to get really dark with the story. Of course, moving the body itself is difficult, so Aqua would probably have to choose a different location to meet with Hikaru. It would be a nice callback if he did kill Hikaru in Miyazaki near the same area Goro died. He could probably even hide the body in the same place too, and Tsukiyomi could assist in making sure no one ever finds it in their lifetime. After all, if one of her crows led Ruby to Goro's body, then she can do the reverse, and sure, no one can get to that location either. From there, Aqua can continue to live his life however he pleases, just with the knowledge that he is a murderer. That's just one way Aqua could have lived though. As for another and more practical way that makes Aqua actually look like a true mastermind, then there's the alternate ending I'm sure a lot of you have seen already. If not, I'll go over it quickly, but I also highly recommend you all go watch it, as it's very well done. It begins with Aqua still meeting Hikaru at the cliffside, and stating that he will kill him, while also making sure Ruby isn't reported as the sister of a murderer. In this scenario, Aqua is going to live, so he has no reason to yap about his desires to Hikaru. Instead, the big change that happens here is that Aqua states that his plan is to have Hikaru jump off the cliff instead, which he does by pushing his father off. This time, Hikaru falls into the dark depths of the ocean alone. He still hits his head on the rocks, leading to bleeding and being unable to move at all due to the loss of strength. Even though Hikaru doesn't want to die, he's still dragged down by Goro and the other shadows. More importantly though, is the time of when this takes place. At 10:06 PM is when Hikaru supposedly fell off the cliff into the water. Then at 10:08 is when the murderer left the scene. We know it's Aqua, and the one thing we see him do is take Hikaru's phone before leaving. Then it cuts to the Bikomachi concert with Kana scanning the crowd for Aqua. At first, Kana can't find him, but then we see Aqua raise the white glow stick, showing that he did reach the concert and time somehow. Unlike the original, Aqua actually followed through with Kana's request, although you could say he didn't show up just for her. This will make sense later, but after the concert, Kana finally gets a kiss from Aqua, solidifying their relationship in this timeline. Unfortunately, Ruby doesn't seem too happy about Kana's comeback win. Even in this timeline, Ruby still lost Aqua in a way. From there though, we then get a full look at the documented information for the Christmas cliff fall case, featuring Hikaru. The investigation shows that Hikaru is assumed to have went missing after leaving his hotel reception on Christmas Day at 9 PM. The hotel surveillance camera even has footage of Hikaru there, and according to the reception notes, the person at the front desk even recommended a viewpoint nearby, while warning him about the cliffside. Hikaru also seemed to have a pretty downcast expression at the time. Essentially, this piece of information paints the picture that Hikaru was indeed still alive at 9 PM on Christmas Day, and supposedly in a depressed state before heading to the cliffside. The next piece of evidence was his blood being found on the rocks by the cliffside. Since it's an hour journey from the hotel, they can assume Hikaru fell around 10 PM. The police will only find his body a week later, but the injuries to his head matched the bloodstains found on the cliff. His body was highly decomposed and also pecked at by crows, indicating Tsukiyomi played a role in this too. There are no signs of struggle either, because Hikaru didn't fight back when Aqua pushed him. The most important part here is that his phone was missing, but somehow they also know that his last call was on the 25th. Only way for them to know that is if someone told the police the last time they spoke with Hikaru. And I think that someone could possibly be Aqua, who used Hikaru's phone to call his, making it seem like Hikaru was still alive at that point. Another thing to note is that the video says time of death before 12 PM. I think it's actually meant to be before 12 AM on the 26th. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense, since they said he fell at 10 PM on the 25th. 12 PM would be before that, during the day. Basically, Hikaru died between a 2-hour span from 12 PM to 12 AM. That's what the police assume at least, and they believe Aqua to be the main suspect. However, Aqua was seen at the Bikomachi concert at the same time Hikaru was supposed to have died. That means Aqua has the perfect alibi. This means the only thing the police can determine is that after learning the truth of the 15-year lie, Hikaru fell into a depressed state before jumping off the cliff. Based on the evidence the police collected, that is a solid conclusion. The thing is though, we saw Aqua didn't indeed kill Hikaru, so the police must have gotten something wrong then, right? Well, it turns out, the police and media fell right into the perfect lie, crafted by Aqua Oshi No. You see, Aqua never planned to let Hikaru go from the start, and the actual point of the movie in this scenario was to play the role of a version of a depressed Hikaru who wanted to end himself. By painting that picture of Hikaru, it wouldn't be a shock to many if Hikaru did indeed go through with the act after learning about the 15-year lie. That's why after Aqua pushed Hikaru off the cliff on December 24th, he could also appear as someone who looks nearly identical to Hikaru on the 25th at the hotel reception. Along with the phone call Aqua made using his phone, appearing in the surveillance footage also makes it seem like Hikaru was still alive on Christmas when he was already killed the night before. The only risk would be if the receptionist noticed that was actually Aqua, but I assume this person didn't spend that much time analyzing his face. Aqua looks nearly identical to Hikaru already, and without comparing them side to side, a normal person probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Plus, it's likely that the surveillance video didn't have enough quality for investigators to pick up a difference either. But basically, this whole plan depends on everyone believing Hikaru is still alive on Christmas Day. Surprisingly, the autopsy wasn't enough for the investigators to realize Hikaru had died a whole day before. I suppose it does help that the body was found a week later, heavily decomposed, and pecked at by crows. Tsukiyomi must be doing more work in this timeline than she ever did in the original. Thanks to Aqua's scheming though, he was able to push the incident time from the 24th to the 25th. That allows Aqua to be at the Bikomachi concert not just for Kana, but also as the perfect alibi by being able to appear there at the same time the police determined Hikaru died. However, as Akane states, the one thing preventing this from being the perfect crime is the police asking Aqua what he was doing on Christmas Day. What would his alibi be then? Thankfully though, Akane knows all the answers like usual, and suggests they go on a date that day. I'm unsure if they actually went on a date, or just kept their story straight though. It would be awkward if Kana learned Aqua was dating Akane on Christmas Day before kissing her later on. That aside though, the day is essentially the perfect alibi, meaning Aqua gets to go free in this timeline. I do like how the video handles the aftermath too, with Aqua briefly struggling with the reality that he became a murderer, only to realize it's all okay, because he was able to protect Ruby. She even tells him about a dream she had of the original timeline, and is glad that didn't happen here. Ultimately, Ruby tells Aqua she understands they can't be together in this lifetime. Instead, the story comes to a perfect end, with Ruby promising to forget about her first love as Serena, and Aqua forgetting everything he did for revenge and to live for himself. I think that perfectly wraps up the theme of the story, with lies being love even better than the original, to be honest. Instead of lying about being happy and faking her love through lies like her mother, repeating a sad cycle, in this reality, Ruby just lies to herself by forgetting her love for Goro, so Aqua can live his current life free of that burden. Aqua also does something similar by forgetting the cruel things he did for revenge, protecting Ruby by keeping that secret attempt to the grave. Lies like that are in a way the ultimate form of love. But yeah, that was probably the best fan-made ending I've seen for any series so far. Although there were some minor flaws, I loved how Aqua's plan made him seem like a top-tier mastermind, like he always seemed to be. Plus, it gave us actual closure for the three main girls, especially Ruby. Like I said before, the video is amazing, and I highly recommend you all go watch it for yourselves, if you haven't already. I'll leave a link in the description, but for now, do y'all think Aqua could have actually lived while stopping Hikaru? Was the alternate ending better than the original? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. I got some more Oshi No Ko content here too that you can check out. Peace.